And I guess running advanced at the nationals is a good thing. It lets people, a lot of people go to the nationals and have the nationals experience that they wouldn't otherwise have. I just a comment there. There have been two people that have won advanced at the Nats and have gone on to win the national championship, the Walker Cup. And one of those guys has even become the world champion.
Dave Fitzgerald.
I guess that's a good stepping stone for those people trying to get into flying stunt at that kind of a level. So power to them. When we were first starting to run the Nats, and when Paul was really big on, he was the one that pushed the whole Pampa classes to begin with. And it wouldn't have been for when we wouldn't have Pampa classes, or now the Pampa classes in the rule book. And he was insistent that we do at least advanced at the nationals. He wanted to do intermediate as well as beginner. Well, we've got the beginner. I still have. It's good for the guys to come to nationals and fly, but I don't know. I don't really understand what a beginner national champion is. But
Yes.
So be it. There is one. And having the advanced there at the nationals, that's also good. It's now an AMA official event, so it should be run at the Nats. And I think it gives more people being able to come to the Nats and be able to compete and still have the Nats experience. So
Absolutely.
I'll support that. And we have Win Paul to thank for even having the Pampa classes to begin with, and then getting the Pampa classes being run at the Nats.
That's terrific.
Let me interrupt you guys. We're live again. Just so you know, we're live.
I highly respect the Pampa classes. When I came back in the 80s, I started out at a beginner, and I only flew one event as a beginner and realized I need to go. But it's very helpful to have it. It got me over the flutters of trying to get back into the competition. But and my biggest complaint has always been, and as it comes to the nationals, and first I have to say I understand why it is as it is, but I wonder if it's something that maybe needs to be taken a good second hard look at. At the nationals is the only place that an expert can fly in the advanced class. And so it makes it tough because a guy comes to fly advanced and he's flying against several experts. And that's because they don't have an expert class at the Nats. So anyway, that's just my little thing. It stopped me from going if it was closer, things like that. But it's just one thing. I always wondered why they didn't do it, because there's nowhere else that they allow you to step down from the class you're normally flying in to a lower class and compete. I've said my piece.
I like that piece because that's my sentiment as well. But then the thing is, once you do win advanced, then you can't go back. So that's the only thing that helps. Like Tom Luciano, he can't go back to flying advanced at the Nats. He has to go to the open class. And so it's also with Tryan, who also is a normal, a usual contributor to our show. He also won the advance. And so now he has to fly in open.
Yep.
While I have the floor, I just want to explain to people that this is part 2. I don't know what happened, but the stream fell off. And so if I can ask you to like this part 2 again. I know Jeff Riley's already done that. He's, after technical difficulties, he was able to like us twice tonight. So if you already liked us in the part 1, please like us again in part 2. And if you are tuning into part 2, just by happenstance, there's actually a part 1. So you might want to watch that as well, and then come back to this and we'll continue on in part 2. So I don't know what happened. Next thing I know, the stream had ended. And so I just set this new one up, and hopefully we get some people back. I see John Lytle's back, and he says they flew expert in Muncie a couple of years ago.
Did they?
There was a, Keith, you probably know this better than I do, but I remember reading maybe a 2014 Stunt News. Warren Tiart was talking about that, and I thought they ran it, and it didn't work out. I can't remember what the reason was. They offered expert, and it didn't pan out the way they thought it would.
I'm not familiar with that. I'd have to go back and, I don't know if anything was written up in Stunt News or not that would have really explained what was right or what was wrong about that.
Okay. I'll look at his write-up again.
But I think it sort of negates why we have an open championship there. If coming to Nats to fly open, that's the big deal. Now, if you want to come fly expert at the Nats, you're okay. Do your sport flying somewhere else. That's what I think.
I agree. I think it's absolutely not fair to advanced flyers to have to fly against experts in national championship for an advanced national champion.
Well, that's always going to be a problem for people.
That's my problem with it.
I've judged expert. I mean, I've judged advanced at the Nats and I've judged open at the Nats. And when I judge advanced, you see guys there that should be flying in open, and that's just not right. It's a problem, and there's no way to legislate that one way or the other.
But what's the problem with having expert at advanced? It doesn't take any more judges or any more people. You're still going to have the same number of contestants at the Nats. You're just going to take those expert flyers and put them in a different class from the advanced flyers. You're not going to get 50 more entrants at the Nats because you have an expert class.
Well,
You're
why?
still
You've got the open
have the
category.
same number of guys showing up.
Well, why? You've got the open category there, and that's what the Nationals is there for, is to determine the national champion. The others are just there for sport. So if they think they're expert flyers, go ahead and fly an open to fly against all the other expert flyers. It doesn't make
And
sense.
when's the last time a true advanced flyer won advanced? I'd be curious to that. Like, what does history show? Let's just say the last 10 advanced winners, what do they fly at their local contests? Probably expert.
Well, that's an issue, and there's no way to legislate that from ever keeping that from happening. We've found that to be true over the years. You can't keep that from happening. When I judged advanced a couple of times, and I judged with a friend of mine, and we went up to a couple people after that and told them they should be flying in the open event. And but whatever that means, it doesn't mean anything, and there's no way to legislate one way or the other. So it's working out okay. People come to the Nats, they get the Nats experience flying advanced, and the guys who are serious about flying stunt, they fly open, and power to them. Some guys are flying open just to be able to say that they did it, and they want to know how they rack up. They're not there to win, but they want to maybe make the top 10 or top 20. That's a good objective, and that's great to have. And
I'm not taking, but there's another side to that coin. I'm not taking a week to go to Muncie and fly advanced, and I'm an advanced flyer, when I know I'm just going to get pasted and I have no chance to win flying against experts at the Nationals. I'm not going to do that. There's probably other guys, there's probably other advanced flyers that go, why am I going to go to the national contest and fly advanced when I have to fly a bunch of experts?
there's no way to.
I have a
legislate
suggestion
about that.
I have a suggestion. You know, a lot of our contests around the nation are publicized. The results are publicized. I mean, so if someone is an expert pilot, they compete and win the advance, and you can look back that they had competed as expert at another contest, then then say, then say you lost that because you wasn't an advanced pilot, you're an expert pilot. And so the next person who was next to him, he's actually the national champion who, if he's an advanced. I mean, if that happens a number of times and being embarrassed, maybe these guys will stop doing that. I mean, the expert pilots.
It's been going
Well, one
on.
thing that happens too, especially at a local meet, the winner, if you're flying in the advanced class and you win a lot of advanced class events and stuff, you could say, well, you should be flying an expert. It doesn't actually say anything about you being an expert flyer. It just says that you're winning a lot in advanced at your local level. There is no universal standard across the country. So the idea that they're all coming to the nationals to a universal standard just doesn't work. So
There's no
if
way
you want to
to-
do another way, and toyed with this, I haven't had a good way to put it, but forgive my words. If you don't want to be the don't want to compete for the national championship, the open championship, then you can come to the nationals and you can fly in the sportsman class, just like they do at Reno or something like that. You got it, you got top racers and you got sportsman racers and things like that. You do that at your local car track and stuff. Do it that way.
Well, that's what advanced is. as far as
That's really what it is, and I think we're getting hung up over the fact that, gee, this guy's an expert in Detroit, but gosh, an expert in Detroit might not have the same challenges as an expert in California does, as an expert in Texas does, as an expert in New York has. There's no uniformity, and things like national scores and stuff. Been a couple of stabs at that, but it doesn't mean anything. The
No,
scoring
it's about
systems, scoring
certain number
is
of
not
points.
uniform
No.
or anything like that.
Well, I understand what Mike is saying. The only thing that I've seen, and it's just maybe casual observation, that if someone who flies at the Nats wins advanced, they're moving up. They cannot fly in advanced after that.
Mm-hmm.
They got to move up. It's the other ones who, I mean, I after judging, I've seen a whole bunch of people in open that shouldn't be there. I
Mhm.
mean, they should be in advanced. They shouldn't be in the open category. But I understand what he's saying. I know there are people, I won't use their names, that won't come to the Nats just for Mike's reason.
Mhm.
That, why should I spend all that time and money? Because look, winning advance is still a very prestigious deal.
Absolutely. That's what I think.
Yeah, it's a stepping stone to the next level. Mike, I guess the other part of that is, since there's no formula because of the difference in contests. I think I'm just trying to think of one, but I guess Orestes, didn't he go to open without winning advanced?
No, he wanted
He won
He won
advanced.
advanced.
He won advanced 1 year.
Okay, but I think there are some people that have just moved up on their own.
Yeah, Steve Fenton did it.
Howard did.
I think
Steve Fenton,
Joe
Steve Fenton
Joe
went
did
to
it.
Howard did not fly advanced or advanced. He flew directly to open.
I better mute.
No, that's okay.
No, you're right, Mark. Steve Fenton did that. He flew advanced maybe 1 or 2 years at the Nats, and then, he's like, I'm flying against experts anyway. I might as well go to open. So that's what he did.
Yeah.
There's people, and I don't know. My sense of fair play gets chaffed a little bit there. It's the only contest in the United States where you can drop down a skill class and go fly. And it should not be our national championship that you're allowed to do that at. I'm sorry. If you're an expert, go fly open. You want to go beat up on some advanced guys?
It's a matter of personal honor. And
It is. I don't, we've had this talk many times over the years. Charles knows how I feel about it. Tryan's been
The
on
same
here.
way. I'm in your camp 100%, Mike.
Lenny has heard me talk about it many times, and this is one of the reasons. If I'm going to give up 5 days at the Nats, I want a level playing field. I want guys that are in my skill class. That's it, and that's why I haven't flown stunt at the Nats at my level. I'd rather go fly 4 days of combat.
Well, okay, we can go back in time. At the Nats, there used to be 60, 70 people flying open. That was before skill classes. And were all 60 of those guys there to win the nationals? No, they were there to have the experience. There's only a handful of people there that even halfway expected that they could win or become close to winning. The other people there just to be able to compete and have the experience. And that's what it should still be. And it's what it still is, as far as I'm concerned.
But doesn't the rule book say that for you to go down in class, you have to talk to the contest director and explain maybe you've had health debilitating issue or some medical issue to step down?
I don't
that's
think that's in the rule book. I can look.
Yeah, I want you to look. I think I read that to go down, you need to justify that your health has declined or something. I mean, like John would be a great candidate since he's been electrocuted. You know, if he wanted to, he should legitimately be able to go down a level if he wanted to. But I remember reading that somewhere, and I just don't understand why that's not enforced if that's in the rules. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I thought that was in the rule book.
Well, I could see that if you're flying advanced and expert together, all you have to do is on the score sheet, you label one as an expert and advanced as an advanced, and you score them, just run them together.
Exactly, John. Exactly.
Separate them at the score table. You don't have any more people. You're not, there's no more structure involved. You're just doing it all on the score sheet.
And I think Randy Smith wrote a big deal. He was the one that tried to get expert back in as a class at the Nats back in that time frame you were talking about. There's a whole thread about it on Stunthangar. And there was a lot of griping about why do we need to do that? We shouldn't do that. And I suspect it was a bunch of experts that don't want to go fly open are the reason why they kept it the way it is. John is absolutely right. It takes no more work, no more people other than changing the skill class on the score sheet.
Nonsense. You don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
It was a lot more work to do. You could do it that way, but people didn't want to do it that way. They wanted to have a separate category for expert. And the people that thought it up sold it on the basis of there would be a whole lot more people are going to show up for the nationals, and guys who don't build their airplanes but are experts will be able to fly. There were no more people showed up.
Well, there wouldn't be any more people.
Class, it was mathematically somewhat difficult to do. We did it. Steve Yampolsky figured out how to do it. The guys who thought it up had no clue as to how to make it work.
I'm not saying that it would increase entries. I'm saying you'd still get the same number of entries.
Then why do it? Then why do it?
Man, you guys, this is the problem with stunt, man, right here.
And
To give the guys in their
Explain yourself. Explain
if
yourself.
you had this and a guy wanted an advanced trophy and it was actually an expert, he'd fly advanced, even though you had expert and as many classes as you want to have.
I'll explain myself, Keith. Give the guys in their skill class a fair shot at winning, period.
This didn't do that. The guy who the people who wanted a trophy in advance were actually expert flyers, flew advanced. This is
Hey, guys,
I'm done. I've talked about this too much before.
No. Hang on, Mike. Now this is the 2019 to 2020 rule book, and as far as contest classifications,
Yeah.
it says under intermediate, advanced, and expert, it says at a contestant's first contest, he or she may enter any class at his or her option. However, once committed to a class, may only move to a class of higher proficiency. Exception, a contestant may move to a lower class with written permission from the contest director, the CD, familiar with the control line precision aerobatics. The CD should exercise great care before allowing a contestant to move to a lower skill class. A contestant may fly in a higher skill class at a contest in which his or her class is not being flown without permanent commitment to that higher class. Any limitations or combinations of classes should be clearly stated in contest announcements. Advance is a voluntarily except as noted before, except as noted below, excuse me. So this is what I read years ago, that to go down, you need to have written permission from the CD. And it looks like the Nats, it's just casual. You can just go down to a lower class, even though you've been competing in expert. And it's, I'm in Mike's camp too. I feel very strongly that, if you're an
Okay.
expert pilot, continue to fly an expert.
Terrific. Let's do this. We'll continue running the open class for the national champion, and we'll call the other class expert. End of problem.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, well, make it expert. Yeah, I mean, make the advanced expert, you mean?
Just rename it expert, and everybody's happy.
Then it would be ambiguous as to who the real national champion is.
No, the open would declare that. The open class would
declares
declare the
that.
national champion, and then naming the expert class advanced. I mean, excuse me, naming the advanced class expert. Is that what you're saying, Dennis?
You're not
Well,
offering.
yeah, we
advanced
seem to be
class.
getting hung up on the name of the class as much as anything. I'm way old school on all of this. I came up as a junior, then as a senior, then as an open. Advanced skill classes, I'm happy that somebody likes them. To me, they're noise, okay? They're just noise in the system, all right?
A way to give more trophies to more people.
Well, when it probably invites, certainly at a local level, and invites more participation and
That's good at the local
gives
level.
people good targets to aim at for improving themselves. I got no problem with that. We first brought it on at the Nationals because we were trying to bring in, basically expand the herd, if you will. And the argument there is, gee, lesser skilled people are too intimidated to come to the Nationals, and they don't want to fly there or anything like that.
I just think that's in the rule book. I think it should be followed. That's all. It says to go down, you need to have written permission. I mean,
Well, we call it expert. Nobody has to worry about going down.
There should be a place for every skill class at our national championship. They fly beginner, they fly intermediate, they fly advanced. There should be a skill class for every level at our national championship. It doesn't just matter about top 5 and who wins the Walker Cup.
Mm-hmm.
You're excluding a whole, when you say it's all noise, is beginner noise? Is intermediate noise? I mean,
at a national championships, beginner and I have no idea what a beginner national champion is. I have no idea what an intermediate national champion is. And I've run the event now. I've helped with it a couple of times. I have absolutely no quarrel with the intermediate flyers who come to Muncie and they want to be there with everybody else, and they fly. And, Brodak used to sponsor taking the intermediate winner. And since they technically had to move up, he was willing to pay their entry that year,
right,
to fly in the advanced class so they could fly all week long if they were available and if they chose to, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Great little celebration there and stuff like that. So I have no problem with that. It's just when you talk about the national champion, how many national champions, how many Indy 500 winners are there every year? Is this guy? And this guy, he never qualified before, so he's going to be the winner too. And this guy here, he crashes all the time, but he didn't crash this year, so we'll call him the champion too. And it's like, I just don't know how many ways you subdivide it down to where all you're doing is watering down the national championship.
To me, the purpose of the nationals is for the stunt nationals competition is to determine the national stunt champion.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay, then let's just have open.
Yeah. Let's get rid of all the other events then. Why do we have them?
because other people wanted to fly these other events and it's been a worthwhile experience for them. But
Well, yeah, but that's not.
And it might be a worthwhile experience for them to win their skill class.
well, That's not what the Nationals is there for.
Oh my
That's-
God.
That's it's nothing more than a big regional contest for intermediate flyers.
Wow.
I don't
You know,
know.
there's brackets and classes in so many sports.
Okay,
There is brackets and classes and levels in every level of competition and just about anything you can think of
so,
that has a
so,
contest or a competition.
so
Now
we-
this plaque, this trophy that Tom Luciano, and I have nothing against Tom Luciano. I don't even know if he flies expert locally or not, but his trophy says Precision Advance. Says Precision Aerobatic Advanced Champion. So if an expert pilot wins this trophy, it's a trophy that says Advance, Precision Aerobatic Advanced Champion. So I mean, I think I think it lacks integrity. I'm not against Tom Luciano or Tryon, who I know those two
Me
guys
neither.
won the advance, but I'm just saying, if you're an advanced pilot, I think the advance should win that, not an expert who stepped down because they didn't want to fly in open. I mean, that's just
An expert in different parts of the country means different things. They haven't stepped down. They've played to the level that they're capable of. I have never seen an advanced flyer who could walk over and make top 20.
And the bottom of top 20 doesn't fly like the top of the top 5 either.
That's exactly right.
So when you watch the videos of the guys, when you see, no offense to any of the guys, because I'm not there, but when you see a number 20 flyer flying directly on the same circle on the videos with a number 1 type flyer, there's a chasm of difference between a 20 guy and a number 1 guy. I think you can see it. You see bottoms, you see the intersections. There's a difference,
Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting too wound up about this too. I think we're trying to do things to include people, and you know what? Life ain't fair sometimes. I don't know how else to put it.
You can shift gears if you want. I can give you guys a show and tell of something cool.
all right. Hey, welcome
know.
to the show,
Right.
Brian. I mean, Brent, thank you very much for coming in. I appreciate it. Let me make it big.
All right.
Ooh, that looks pretty.
All right. Got my Sultan back together here.
Wow,
terrific.
that looks really pretty.
Very sharp.
That's a Norm Whittle airplane?
Yep.
Okay.
And then this is the fun feature right here.
The invisible hatch.
Ooh, I like that. Nice little spring setup. Very cool.
Uh-huh.
So that's a canopy
Beautifully
latch.
done.
That is very neat.
So it's got a tongue here on the front that just fits in to the front right here.
So the fuselage is paint, and what is the wing?
It's monocoat on the wings.
Very nice.
This is class coat red.
Mm-hmm.
Just there's no clear on it. That's just how it comes out of the gun. So then I went with a simple front on it. I don't know if you can see that. That's
Very nice.
so it goes.
So you said
Very
back
sharp.
together.
Makes you
So
free.
this thing suffered a accident at one time.
Yeah, it suffered a bonehead. There we go. So there's all the airflow.
Ooh, I like that that opening around the spinner. That is so neat.
Yeah, let me show you. So it's that's the front of the badass 3515.
Wow, very nice. So what size batteries are you going to use in it?
I'm going to be using 6S lithium ion from Dane Martin. So
Excellent.
Lithium ion. I haven't used lithium ion. Have you noticed that?
Paul Walker and Chris Cox and all those guys that's the battery du jour. And
What does it give you
that's
over
it.
the LiPo? What does the lithium ion give you?
way more charge cycles. So you can punish these. You can take them deeper into discharge, and they don't have as bad of a memory problem. So you can go thousands of, supposedly you can go, 1,000 recharges or something on something like this. Whereas on a lipo, you're just not going to get that, that lifespan. But we're still on the, Paul Walker's been running them for a couple years and loving it, but we're still in the salad days of using them in stunt. So it's, but they have some advantages, that's, they have less of a tendency to burn down your house, I guess. So that's an advantage. So
So now that battery was made by Dane Martin, is that right?
Yep, Dan Martin. This is a E-Flight spinner. I don't know if you guys have ever seen these. They're really nice.
Those are neat. Yeah. Is that a reverse spinner?
No, it's standard. It's standard. But and then this old bird here is one of Gordon Delaney's old Pathfinder 51 plane from the early 90s, and I've converted it over to electric. So that's kind of fun. It had some fuselage cracks, some mid refinishing. I noticed when I was pushing on it, it was oil canning and doop, 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 doop. So I put new rod inside of it and a few things here and there. But I did the same treatment on this with the cowl situation on this. I wanted to retain the trike mount on it. So I retained the old wall there. So I took his old cowl and I split it right here and added these little tongues to it, and then added the Paul Walker style motor mount. So that's really a good way to do it. So this will go in just like that. It'll be bolted down. Cool. And then back here for the battery compartment, that's the old thing. I did the same thing with the hatch latch.
That is very cool. I like that latching system.
I'm interested in that latch too. I'd like to. You got a drawing of that or anything, Brent?
What?
It's an RC thing. You can buy them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just a canopy latch from. I bought them off eBay. So.
That's very cool. Hey, welcome to the show, Steve. Thank you very much for coming in.
A couple other planes I thought I'd show you since they're kind of fun. Fun way to hold planes. You use these cool little holder dealies you get at Harbor Freight.
Oh, that is cool. Hey, Joe Mata, look at this. Look at that, Joe Mata. That's where you can store your planes in your garage.
Yep, just use a hook from the ceiling and then.
That is very ingenious, Brent. I like it. I made that out of PVC pipe, but that's a lot easier than what I had to make up.
Yeah, works out nice. This is a Shark 45, and this is a kind of a crossfire
hanger.
Yeah,
Isn't that cool?
Very, very neat.
Anyhow,
hey, Brent, that 51 Pathfinder, is that the LE or something?
No. This predates all of them. This was from about 1990.
Not quite that far back.
Something like that. Early 92,
93.
Yeah, John would know. So,
yeah, but, it's the only one older, only full body older is this one that's right behind me.
So this it's 700 and some odd squares, about a 64-inch wingspan. And originally it was that kind of I-beam wing that John and Gordon used on the initial planes, but it suffered a wing failure.
Let me explain how he got that wing failure, if you wouldn't mind, Brent.
Yeah.
Gordon had finished the flight and he had a little extra fuel on. So he started doing square loops and each got smaller and smaller and smaller until he's doing them about 10 foot tall. 10 foot was about the maximum size or less. And the wing just exploded.
Here's a cool little thing from Dave Dennison up in Portland. I don't know if you guys know him, but it's his method of doing foam wings. So
very cool.
Cap strip style with a spar, and then it's hollowed out under here. But Dave used to run a foam wing company back in the day, and he actually used rubber cement as the glue to hold the skins on. So pretty cool method.
And that's how we did the RC pattern wings back in the 80s. It's like that.
Yeah. So like with this geodetic method kind of?
Yeah. And then cut it out of the foam and then cover it.
Yeah, that's an awesome way to do it. It's stiff. And
A lot of times we didn't bay it though. We fully sheeted the wing, but that's what it looked like underneath the sheet. You know, you couldn't see it.
Yeah, you can get away with using a little crappier wood by doing it this way. So you basically just using just regular old rubber cement from the paper store. You know, you use it as contact cement. You paint it on, let it dry for 20 minutes, and then stick it together. So
yeah,
cool.
We even did one that was called honeycomb, and you put diamonds. They were actually diamond shapes all through the wing, and then fully sheeted it.
Nice. Well, anyhow, I just thought maybe I'd lighten the mood and show you guys something cool. So
Hey, you sure did.
Yeah.
Cool.
anyway, that's a awesome method for making a huge battery compartment, you know.
Hey, Mike,
Yeah.
how are you going to fly against Charles in Vegas?
The best I can.
Well, you won last year. You won advanced, so that puts you up to expert. And Charles is still in advanced, so you guys can't even fly against each other.
Yeah. One local
Mike
contest.
won advance at the Nats.
Yeah.
No, Mike won advanced last year at Vegas. That automatically.
Oh no, that's not
Bumped him
that's not
up
the
to
national
expert.
championship. We're talking about the national championship.
No, because to get bumped out of it advanced at the national championships, you have to win advanced at the national championships.
Right.
Right.
I did not win
It
advance.
has nothing to do with expert flyers.
Yeah, you better close the shop.
It has to do with winning at the contest you're at.
Well, Charles can fly expert.
Oh yeah,
I wanted to. I could, and if Mike wanted to, you could fly expert as too. We both are advanced pilots.
So you win one advanced contest, you got to go to expert. Is that what we're saying now?
no.
Well, you won advanced in Las Vegas. So when you go back to Las Vegas, you're an expert. I think that's what
Because
Steve's
every
saying.
time that Samantha won a class at Brodak, she got booted to the next higher class.
Every time.
Every time.
Well, that's messed up. But
Well,
It didn't raise her in the class at the Nats. It raised her at the class at Brodak.
yeah, well, I mean,
So
out
when
here in
she won-
out here in California, you know, you can win advanced repeatedly. I can name some people that have done that several times.
Yeah. Same at Huntersville, same at King Orange, same at Canton, Georgia. Every local contest is, just because you win a local contest doesn't mean you have to go up.
Yeah.
But
But
if you-
sometimes the CD might boot you up to expert, then you just don't go to that contest again. You go to another
Well,
contest.
Let's see. So if you haven't won advanced at a local contest, or if you do win, you don't have to go up.
No.
If you've never won an advanced class and decide to fly expert, you can't fly advanced at the
I'm
NAMS.
lost.
Well, I read the rules. I don't know if you heard me read it, but the rules say that to go down, you need to have written permission to present that to the CD. You know, like a good example would be if you had a health decline or maybe like a neuropathy or something, and then you say I can't fly an expert no more, and then you could go down to whatever class. Maybe your health's so bad you go down to intermediate. You know, but the rule book says you need to have a written permission to the CD to go down in class. And Mike's and
At the NATS or at any place in the United
well,
States.
the rule book doesn't say at the NATS. It just says the classes that to go down you need to have written permission. That's what the rule book says. I don't have the most.
I thought you read something in there. You could move up a class at a deal and go back to another
No,
class.
you can't go down. You can go up.
If you go to
go
a
up.
contest that advanced is not given, you're an advanced flyer, you can fly expert without it causing you to have to move up to expert. If they're not offering your class, you can go to the higher class and compete. But you are not going to be required to go to the higher class. You haven't moved up.
What happens if they don't have the higher class?
Then you don't fly. Or you fly
You can't
at
go
another-
down and fly in.
according to the rules.
Advanced.
It's written in the
According to the
rules.
rules, you
don't
need to
go
have written
down without-
permission and present that to the CD, the contest director.
That's one of the reasons why they, at every contest, why they list what they're flying.
So does that mean then if you win at the Nats advance, you don't have to move out of advance?
Oh, no, at the Nats, the rule is you win.
No,
You win,
in the
you
book
move
there
up.
you just read, does it say if you win advance at the Nats, you must move up?
It doesn't say Nats anywhere. It just says,
Right.
if you want to go down, you have to have written permission to go down.
How does the rule say you go up?
You just voluntarily want to go up, you go up,
Okay, so
but you
that
can't go
means-
back down.
Okay, you can't go down, but you volunteer to go up. So if you don't volunteer to go up, you could fly advanced at the Nats and win it every year for 20
No,
years.
at the Nats, if you win advance, you have to go to.
Where in the rules does it say that?
It's
Well,
in
that's
the
just a
Nats
tradition.
rule.
You know, that might be something that someone can contest. But at the Nats, the tradition
Oh,
is
it's a
if you win-
tradition, but there
I
is
think,
no
I don't
rule.
know, maybe it's not a tradition, maybe, but all I'm saying is that the
It's-
Nats, you win advance, you're booted to open.
Pampa has a responsibility to administer the nationals. They provide the manpower, they provide the routine about how the Nats are run. I think it's in the Pampa guidance that if you win advanced, you move up. That's a Pampa thing, not in the rule book.
Put it another way, if you win advanced at the Nats, that doesn't mean you have to fly advanced when you get back home. Or you have to fly expert when you get back home. You just keep
It's only,
flying
it's only
advanced.
at the Nats, and I think it's in the
Only
Pampa,
at the Nats.
Pampa guidance on how Pampa runs the Nats.
Well, I'll
And
tell you what,
Steve, similar to what you just described with Samantha, when she won a class, they booted her up. And even if she didn't necessarily fly that higher class, you know, at other meets or something like that, when she got back to Brodak, she was expected to move up.
right, and that's like when she won,
But that wasn't in a rule book either. That was a Brodak thing.
That's a
So-
Brodak, and I've seen
yeah,
people,
you
I've
know,
seen people in
Brodak was
Brodak.
before the Nats. She won beginner at Brodak, she won beginner at the Nats. She run intermediate at Brodak, she won intermediate at the Nats. She won advanced at Brodak. She flew, but never won advanced at the Nats.
And at Brodak, if you win the Brodak, and I know somebody personally, he won advanced one year, he entered the next year, and the contest directors, two of them, came over and said, no, he had to fly an expert.
Right.
And
So
that's
when
not
Samantha
in the,
goes
it's not
back,
in the rule book, but that's the policy of Brodak.
right, and so
And-
Samantha
No,
goes
that
back.
is,
to
that
Brodak,
actually,
it's
that is in the
move up.
rule book. It says, it is the responsibility of the contest director to settle any disputes over placing a competitor in a particular skill class.
So it's their discretion. If you won Brodaks, the CD can say you can't fly that class again. You got to bump up.
That's
Right.
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 And they do that.
Yeah,
Right.
and they do it, and Samantha did it every year. She moved up.
So that I would assume that same rule applies to every local contest.
No, it's up to the administration of the local contest to do whatever they want.
Right. The
That's what Mike's
the
saying.
CD of the local contest can say, you won this class last time, now you got to move up.
The contest directors have their.
Right.
use of
So-
the contest, fine.
Any local contest CD could say, if the CD for Vegas says, Mike, you won advanced last year, you have to move to expert. That's his discretion.
Yes, it
Mhm.
is.
If I won, well, I didn't, Canton, Georgia, the CD of Canton could say, you won advanced last time. Wayne Smith, when I go to King Orange, he could say, you won advanced last year, you have to fly expert next time.
That's
CD discretion.
That's his discretion.
Correct.
So
Right.
what's the problem? What's the issue?
You know, that's like too, when I used to shoot. One year I went to the state shoot and I was an A shooter. I won the first event of the week. Hardly anyone shot. No good shooters shot, really. There was a few of us. I won it. I got booted to AA for the rest of the shoot. I had to shoot against all the top-notch people across the United States. I can tell you, I didn't even come in close to winning, but I couldn't even win my class. That was the best year I was shooting. I couldn't even win the state shoot in A class because I got booted up for the rest of the whole shoot.
So what does that have to do with control line stunt?
You can do that in stunt too. If you fly something in the earlier like profile, you win.
Discretion.
You up to expert for the rest of
Discretion of the
the
contest
contest.
director. Discretion of the contest director. Just like it's discretion of.
Right. And my point, Keith, was most local contest directors don't do that. They don't boot you.
That's
Obviously,
fine. They can do that. They can do it that way. That's fine.
at Brodax, they do, like you said, they do at Brodax. They do at the Nats in advance. They boot. At most local contests, you can win in your skill class a few times.
Fine. And skill.
Okay,
class-
so that's my point. Is
skill
they
class
don't
is good.
they don't force you, and it rarely happens. It might happen if you're winning for every local contest that you go to. But what about the guys that fly in advance for 20 years?
So what? They enjoy it. So what?
Well, I can tell you what though, Mike, with John Paris, he goes to a lot of these contests and flies expert. Just for the reason is there's no one else that could beat him in advance. And people are like, you need to move up. You win all these contests. I mean, last year he won advanced and or expert in every one he went to except one, and Bob McDonald beat him. He has beaten Rusty, but he's never won advanced. And he said now it's getting to be where everybody's bitching. He's just going to move up without ever winning advanced. And that was one thing he wanted to do, was win advanced at the Nats. I mean, that's why he's like being CD and shit like that. He doesn't feel that he's a good enough flyer really to beat anybody in open. It's just that everybody's giving him crap because he moved up to expert and flew against Bob McDonald and Sparky and some of these other guys who fly at the Nats and open, just to give other guys down lower than him a chance to win advanced. And so now it's come back to bite him in the ass. He could have stayed there, never moved up.
Then he let him stay there. If
Right.
wants to,
But he
let him
just
stay.
decided to, but now they're saying since he flew expert at some rinky-dink deal with 5-6 people flying, that now he can't fly in advance at the Nats.
Well, but people are doing that. People who are expert flyers at the local level fly advanced at the Nats. That's been going
Right, I
on
know
for
that
years.
people
There's
do
no way
it,
to
but what I'm
legislate
saying
against-
is
There's no way
Mike
to
doesn't
legislate
like
that
it.
for or against that.
Mike
happening
doesn't
all the
like
time.
it, and there's other people who don't like it. They give him crap about it, but he just does it so other flyers have a chance to win trophies. And he likes the
system is
competition.
working though.
Huh?
The system is
Howard,
working. If
Howard,
it
go ahead,
causes
Howard.
John
Let
Paris-
Howard say his piece. Go ahead, Howard. You have the floor.
The system is working if it causes John Paris to have to run the Nats.
Oh, okay.
So
Damn.
don't mess with it. As long as he keeps running the Nats, don't change anything.
Good point. Good.
Howard.
Hey guys, let's just we'll just go on to another subject. I know that it's something that
There never
I
has
don't
been a
like it.
solution.
Neither is Mike. Mike and I are both in the same camp. But
There hasn't ever been a solution to this, and there never will be. So be it.
Now, it doesn't matter though, Charles. It's all noise.
yeah. So anyways,
our gripes are all noise. Doesn't matter because we're just advanced Pampa members, man. It doesn't matter. It only matters for the top tier guys at the Nats. That's what I'm hearing anyway from a few people
Well,
tonight.
what I'm wondering is,
And I gotta say, I'm pretty disappointed in that.
since Mike won last year at Vegas, if you would beat Mike at Vegas, would that make you super advanced champion?
No, it just means I
Because
just
you
won
beat a
the Las
past
Vegas
champion?
Stunt Challenge. And
I just shit with you.
yeah, I know. I understand. I feel you. So anyway,
do-
Steve, to change the subject, are you feeling better? How's your flying? I know that you had an issue with
I haven't been since.
okay. Hope you
Yeah,
feel better.
I haven't went. It's till I get in to see a ear, eyes, and nose doctor or whatever for my ears. Then I don't want to take a chance to lose the airplane.
Yeah.
Charles,
Yes.
I got a little show and tell before we leave. If you
Yeah.
got a
Great. It's
minute.
8:56. So let's do some show and tells, and I got to catch up on the chat box also.
All right,
Big Mike.
it'll be real quick. We got a box
Wow.
from Ukraine from
Wow.
Roman Yavenko. And
Nice.
in this box, we've got 10 beautiful F2D models.
Wow.
We ordered last April, I think April 2nd. We ordered these models from Roman in Ukraine. And of course, that was at the height of the troubles that were going on. But Roman said he was able to build models and his family could really use the money. So we made an order of 10 models, which got shipped 3 weeks ago. It took 3 weeks for them to come from Ukraine to the United States. Also in there, we got 4 brand new F2D handles.
Nice. That look
And
beautiful.
these are really nice. They fit your hand like a glove. They've just got wire hooks here, and the way these adjust, you've got a knurled knob on the top, which just runs out the upline
Yeah. Oh, that's
forward and back for adjustment. And I'll tell you what, for $35, these are $35 a piece. They're not good for stunt, obviously, but
Why
For
wouldn't they be?
well, they're too narrow of a handle space. I think for sport flying, maybe they might be okay on something, but for real stunt, I think they're too narrow.
What is the width of the spacing on it, Mike?
Uh,
Looks about 4 inches, 3.5 at least.
3 3/4.
That's kind of
Yeah.
small.
Yeah, it's a little narrow. I mean, my big fat hand just barely fits right in between there. But they're super nice, man. They're super nice. They're molded, and just one adjustment there. And unless you're really, really good at making lines, that's not going to help you much. But the Russians or the Ukrainians, the Eastern European guys. So we also got 20 sets of lines, and these are pre-made, for that type of handle. And for the combat, all the combat planes have a standard wing dimension, and the lead outs are pretty much dead nuts on. And then these lines, $7 a set, and the terminations are made on both ends.
Wow.
That is very cool.
Yeah,
Hey, Mike, can you
$7 bucks.
explain to our audience if they wanted to get like 10 airplanes, how do you go about doing that?
The easiest way to do it is to go on Facebook and become friends with Roman Yavenko. He's on the MACA page, on the Miniature Aircraft Combat Association page. He's on there, and then you can send him a message via Facebook Messenger. He does have a website, but I think that's a little spotty trying to get information back and forth. The easiest way is to be on Facebook and just become friends with Roman Yavenko and message him and tell him what you want, and you make your order. You send a bag of money over there, Western Union. He makes your planes and then he ships them out.
Very cool. Thank you very much. Let me catch up on the chat box and then going to wrap up the live stream. Jeff Riley said, after technical difficulties, I was able to like twice tonight. John Lytle came back. He said they flew expert in Muncie a couple years ago. I said these earlier. I'm sorry. And then John Lotto said, I totally agree with Keith. And then Jeff Riley said, lithium ion batteries are a little lighter, less volatile in certain conditions, and less pollution upon disposal. And finally, Jeff Riley says, maybe your skill class could be printed on your AMA card. When a CD decides you move up, they punch a hole in the card as you enter the next contest, you're moved up. That's just a suggestion from Jeff Riley. But we've had a really good show. I know we lost the first stream. I don't know what happened. My apologies for any inconvenience this might have caused you. If what would happen, I don't know. I can't give you an answer. Hopefully you found the second show. Maybe you can watch this as a replay. But I want to thank you, everybody. I know we had a spirited conversation about the Nats and how the Nats run, and that's a nice show and tell. So this is the weekend. Hopefully you have a chance to go out there and fly or work in your shop and come back and tell us all about it Monday. I want to thank everybody. So please have fun and come back and tell us all about it. I'm
Yeah.
gonna end with
Invite everybody to Michigan to come flying. It's supposed to be 51 tomorrow at like 10 o'clock.
okay.
Hey, Mike,
All right.
check your email.
Okay, Mark, thank you.
All right.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
gentlemen, we're gonna end the stream. We're gonna go into the after party. Thank you very much for your attendance. Appreciate it immensely.